question.
Hi.
How are you, Ron Winship?
Hey, Nick Garcia.
Cutting in to talk to our seasoned professionals. My wife Anna is the co-producer.
Nice to meet you.
And Larry Gilbert.
Great.
Okay, got some. Can you do some quick on camera?
No. Nope. Well, but we can. I'll get you someone who could.
Oh, that's great. Yeah,
Okay.
what we're looking to do is we've got the 4 issues at hand. We want to just do a quick overview before the governor gets here.
Okay.
And then so that we can kind of get a definitive shot at what he's going to talk about, and then from there we'll maybe we'll catch him after the event, so we can talk to him about what was said.
Well, the governor might do a press availability. He might not. It just depends what's up. So
hey,
so you get one person inside from your organization, and so we'll go from there.
Wonderful,
right?
wonderful.
But you'll just move with the regular press, and everybody will gather up here.
Good,
okay?
good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Do you have a card? Did we
I
get
don't
one?
have a card on me.
Gotcha. Rob Stutzman is a communications director for the governor of the state of California, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold's here at the Red Robin restaurant in Costa Mesa handing out flyers to people, trying to get them to sign up for all of these 4 major initiatives. Give us the insight, Rob, on which of the 4 issues that he's presenting today are his big priority.
Well, they're all a priority. Let's start with budget reform. We want to reform the budget process so you can prevent the billions of dollars in deficit spending that happened under Gray Davis in the legislature before Arnold became governor. So that's a big reform that needs to take place.
Which one of the, has he picked one, a way of fixing it yet, other than borrowing more money?
Well, yes, he has a proposal that would have across-the-board cuts in any year that spending becomes more than the revenues that comes in. He thinks it should be just like we all teach our children. You only spend as much money as you bring in.
What are you really looking at? How many percentage points do you think you'd have to go across the board to balance out the budget for 2006 or 7?
Well, it depends on the given year, and it depends on revenue.
How's it looking for 6 and 7?
Right now, in 6 and 7, you have a deficit that could go as high as $5 or $6 billion.
What was that number again?
$5 or $6 billion.
$5 or $6 billion. So we'd have to take that in cuts across the board.
You'd have to do across the board
okay,
cuts.
let's go.
But in a good economy, revenue could also grow as well.
Yeah, right. Let's jump onto that redistricting situation that he's formulated after too. Now, how is that going to work? We saw some preliminary things that said you can't have a 7-point difference between the 2 parties on these things, and it looks kind of weird because if you look at San Francisco,
redistricting. The plan with redistricting is you do not let the politicians control drawing the lines. The way it is now, they draw their own districts. Politicians pick the constituents instead of constituents picking who their politicians are. The governor wants to take that process, give it to an independent panel of retired judges, take it completely away from the politicians so they can't draw their own districts. I
got you. The only question we had on that redistricting was the fact that you're looking at population centers against mountainous regions. That's why there's kind of these funny looking gerrymandered districts. Right. And the second thing is you're talking about San Francisco or San Diego, where you got a lion's share of either Republicans or Democrats. How in the world are you going to break it apart and not make it look funny as can be to try to balance out the people?
The proposal's been amended to not have that 7% spread in there anymore.
Great.
There will be districts that clearly will favor one party or the other because San Francisco is going to elect Democrats, San Diego is going to elect Republicans. However, right now you have virtually no competitive seats at all. There should be a good number of those seats that have drawn fairly and accurately will become more competitive.
And this will be clearly elucidated on the initiative in November.
Yes, the initiative is circulating now.
All right, and we're signing an initiative, but you say they've amended that 7% variation?
7%'s not in the initiative.
All right. So it's going to be kind of left in the hands of 3 judges to decide what's fair at the end of the game if that
well, they
passes.
have some direction. They have to keep cities and counties together as much as possible.
Right, contiguous basically.
Right. And they have to look to make them as competitive as possible also.
All right, well listen, we've taken way too much of your time, but we want to come back and see you soon. So those other 2 issues we certainly want to talk about what the governor's doing.
All right, we'll talk about it soon.
Hey, thanks so much, Rob.
Thank you.
What's your last name?
Patrick Prezioso, Prezioso.
Okay, tell us what group are you representing? Why did you come out here to see the Governator today?
Actually represent the Orange County Education Coalition, made up of teachers, classified employees, school administrators, school board members, and concerned parents.
Well, let me ask you this: why would making school teachers more responsible to the system be a problem for you?
It's not a case of making the teachers more responsible. It's a case that Arnold got into office using the initiative system,
right?
Something that he believes in. Prop 98 was brought in by the people of California through the initiative system. He now is trying to do away with that through the initiative system.
Well, what did Prop 98 do?
It actually guaranteed funding the schools, a minimum funding system for the schools in the state of California.
Well, let me ask you this. We're going to be about $5 or $6 billion short here coming into 2006 and 2007. What do you think the Governator should do then? Well, I mean, where do you cut if you can't cut across the board?
I don't think it's a case of what the Governator does. I think it's a case of what the legislature does in concert with the governor. What you've had here is a renegade governor who's decided he drew a line in the sand and said, if you don't do what I want to do, I'm going to go ahead and go to the people of the state of California, which has been his threat on everything. First, you sit down and discuss issues before you go ahead and destroy things. What he's personally doing here is destroying the education system in the state of California for my grandkids.
Okay, one of the big issues though is teacher accountability. We've got about 40 to 50% of the kids that go to schools in California who do not graduate. Now, for whatever purpose, reason, we don't know those answers. But we do know that we've got 50% that don't graduate. Now, so the bottom line is, how do we fix that? Well, how do we make teachers more accountable, or do we need to make teachers more accountable to get a better graduation rate?
I think what you need to do is need to take a little history lesson here. Okay, when Prop 13 was passed, prior to that, schools got the local funding from their local school districts. And if you go back and look prior to Prop 13, schools were doing just fine. Absolutely fine. Our graduation rates, everything was doing fine. Prop 13 now has allowed all the money from my property tax to go to the state of California. And then the Governator, along with the legislature, decide how much money we get back of our own money. So what's transpired is California went from ranked being 3rd in the country in funding for schools to 48th in the country. I think that might be a #1 cause for us not being able to educate our kids. Understand, yes, teachers should be accountable, but you've got to put the money where your mouth is first before you make people accountable.
Well, again, this is really complex because you're talking about an immigration situation here. You got people that are not really legal residents that come here and you have to teach them. You have to educate them as well. And so it makes it a lot more difficult than educating people that speak the language and understand everything before they go to school.
Sure.
So the question is, I mean, where do they put the effort? Or where would the teachers, if the teachers had all the money that they needed, what would they tell the governor to do to make graduation rates better in the state? That's all. We've never heard that from the teachers.
Actually, it's not a case of dealing with that with the teachers. I think what you do is you have to have a coalition of the education group sit down with people in Sacramento to determine what to do. Again, you've got a renegade governor just running off on his own, deciding what he's going to do. No one's sitting down and talking. The governor says it's either my way or here's what I'm going to do. He's the one that threw out the gauntlet and said, come March 1st, I'm going to do the initiative process. That's not the way you run government. Now, I will tell you, That's the way a rich person says, I'm going to take and make sure the people on my block get off my block, is you go out and buy all their homes.
Okay, well, let's cut to the chase here. The issue is for teachers, pensions. All the pensions are up. He's also, on top of this education thing, he's also putting a big onus on making pensions more self-sustaining, more of a defined, not going to a defined benefit, but going to a 401k kind of a mentality. Now, obviously, everybody that comes on now would say that's terrible because the other guys got all this free, got all the free money, and now we're going to have to pay. Anybody that comes into the system now would have to pay, would get less.
So let me try and explain this to you in real simple terms. You and I are both in the retirement system today, and it's a defined benefit program.
Right.
Now, starting next year, this lady next to me goes into a defined contribution plan. People no longer are putting money into our retirement. At some point in time, the state of California is going to have to step up and refund that. That's a major mistake. Okay, the people that I represent in the state of California, which are called classified employees, the people who work in the school districts as secretaries, bus drivers, mechanics, food service workers.
Right.
The average classified employee makes $804 a month in retirement. You and I can't live on that. Okay, it is nothing more than a supplement of Social Security. And let me point out to you, the governor's doing nothing more than carrying the water of the President of the United States.
Then let me ask you the big bullet question, and that is teachers want to have 3 at 50 just like the police and the fire people have. So here's a system that's unsustainable presently, and then you guys want more benefits to go to have, so you can have 3 at 50 like the fire people do and the police people do. So we don't understand how it balances out. How does it?
Actually, what you have to understand is I started off telling you, what I started
state
telling
employees,
you is
either way.
We work as the Education Coalition.
All right.
And harm to one is harm to all.
I see.
All right. And understand, if the teachers are proposing 3%, that's negotiations. I'm sure they're willing to sit down and talk to someone.
Yeah.
As the governor should be willing to sit down and talk to someone about his issues. Okay, so sure, somebody says I want 3%, I'm sure there's a common ground somewhere in there.
Okay.
What you currently have is a governor who's decided common ground is his ground.
You have a sign behind you that says Arnold is special interest king. What do you mean by that?
Well, Arnold calls labor unions, teachers, our folks, special interests. And what you actually have is, if you've paid attention, Arnold has been going all over the country catering to special interests. If you want to go to a luncheon with Arnold, not like today's staged event, but if you want to go to a luncheon with Arnold, for $100,000, you can sit at his table and get 2 pictures taken with him. For a mere $23,200, you can actually sit in the room, no pictures. That's special interest. You know, when I make a donation, I'll pull out of my pocket $5. I'm sure this lady would too. I won't pull out $23,200.
Lori, you got questions?
Patrick, this guy doesn't even know who we are.
Okay, listen. Hey, good. Listen, Patrick, thanks so much. You can look for us on the Cutting Edge. You're on the Cutting Edge program, and thank you so much.
I'm Sue Collins. I'm a PTSA member from Irvine, and our concern with Prop 98 is that the voters of California passed that initiative on behalf of our children, and here is one man whose children don't even participate in the public school system. He spends, from what I understand, for the private schools that his kids have attended in Santa Monica, over $20,000 a year. For 1,100 kids, that school has a $23 million budget. Our schools don't even come close to that. We get maybe 10% of what his children
Well, what's your name again? I'm sorry.
Sue Collins.
Sue. But don't forget, I'll bet if the school that Arnold sends his kids to, everybody graduates too.
My children attend University High School in Irvine. They've
Right.
come through the Irvine schools. Our school is a rural district. Our teachers get paid less than what any of the teachers in the adjacent districts get paid, and we have a 98% graduation rate.
Well, congratulations.
So,
you should be proud of that.
We have a school district, but it's very underfunded, and it's only because parents try and step up and fill the gaps, whether it's paper drive or glue sticks or whatever at the beginning
Explain
of the year.
to the people here what the actions of the governor will take away Prop 98. How does that? What is he? What is he saying?
He basically has they deferred funding that proposition last year to take the money for other needs in the state, and he promised that they would give the money back this year, and he is reneging on his promise to return what was promised last year, which has put everybody behind the 8 ball in terms of budgeting, and we will not have that money again.
So what should he do?
Make good on his promise, follow through, and do what the voters said.
The problem is that we've got a $5 to $6 billion a year shortfall.
I am a former Orange County probation employee. I worked for probation from 1983 until late in the 90s. I went through the county bankruptcy. I was a research analyst who was responsible for doing all of those what-if budget calculations and figuring out what the heck are we going to do now because we don't have enough money. It should not come on the backs of our children. Our children need to come first, and there are other places where the cuts can
Thanks
be
so much, Sue. Okay. Appreciate your time. Thank you very much. We get a phone call from the governor's office. Get up here close. We get a phone call from the governor's office saying, come to this event at the Red Robin in Costa Mesa today. So we show up, right? And then they won't let us go in to see this guy, Nick Garcia, from the governor's office, who selects who gets to go in. Says that we need to get CHP credentials, right?
Paulette was fine with it.
Paulette was fine, yeah. Okay. And so, so we can't go in to see the governor. Okay, that's fine. So we're sitting outside. We're trying to do a show here. And they say, well, you don't do hard news. You do your talk show. Okay.
But it's interesting that we've covered the governor 3 times in the past and we never had a hassle.
No.
We've covered people much bigger than he is.
Yeah, never mind.
Literally and figuratively.
Okay. Be humble. Okay, the bottom line of this story is that we finally get Rob Sudson, who's a great guy. That guy's the communications director for the governor, and he was more than happy about coming out and talking to us. So that was
then Nick comes and tries to interrupt even that in there.
Oh, and then Nick guy again. Yeah, never mind. Okay, it's just people. So the bottom line of this story is the governor is putting some energy out there that is not too clear, evidently, to the people.
I think it's a little premature, especially the issue on redistricting.
Yeah.
Where there was supposed to be no more than a 7% delta variance, if you would, between the two leading parties. Now all of a sudden you realize that won't work.
Yeah, that's off.
It's not going to work in San Francisco, and it's not going to work in San Diego. So
no, that's not going to happen.
If you put a proposal together, think it through.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 1,000% on that. Yeah, but and then the budget thing, and that. Well, no, you had the really good point, Larry, because you said, well, wait a minute, I'm signing up for this redistricting thing, and we don't even know how it's going to work. I mean, well, they're going to get 3 judges.
We're going to get 3 retired judges.
And who do we know who they are?
Without political opinions.
Yeah, without any greed or avarice, probably, too.
and don't accept any money for their campaign.
And no, unelectable. Okay, so the bottom line is that those are the people.
Where does that happen?
Yeah, it is exactly right. Okay.
What we have here is about 75 people standing outside, all carrying picket signs, basically into 2 different camps.
Yeah.
Those that support all.
You know what I thought was interesting? What I really thought was interesting is they were relatively well behaved, actually.
Yes, they were civil.
They were civil. And number 2, which I thought was very interesting, is they were very passionate about what they believed. And it wasn't just like a made-up thing that they just made it up. They were here to cause trouble.
I mean, there was no ugliness as there was at Cal State Long Beach.
No, that was bizarre. That whatever happened there, that was terrible. Anyway, but the governor's staff was really nice, except for this one guy who we had a problem with. But anyway, having said all that, we missed getting to see Arnold hand out. When I went in there, Larry, the governor was handing out these flyers here to everybody. And pumping his deal. So we'll see that on the 7 o'clock news tonight.
Well, the flyer basically has the 4 reforms that he's trying to promote.
Okay, let's go over them real briefly.
The first one is fix our broken budget system.
Yeah, which means an across-the-board cut of $5 to $6 billion out of our budget. Now, how much is our budget every year in California?
$90 to $100 billion.
That's right. Well, that's not really bad.
As Arnold said, we don't have a revenue problem, we have a spending problem.
Yeah, so exactly right.
This was his attempt to fix it.
So he's talking about across-the-board cuts to fix that, which I agree with it.
The second reform in the state's pension system.
Yeah, that's true too.
Where the costs have risen 1,600% in the past 5 years.
That's true.
And we went from $160 million in 2000.
And all the labor groups want more benefits, they don't want less.
And this year they want $2.6 billion.
Yeah. and we're short that amount. So I think that's a good idea too. Okay, the next one. What's this?
The argument of putting our children first. We definitely have problems. We're spending $50 billion on education for kindergarten through 14, which is $2.9 billion more than last year. Yet some of the picketers here felt that they were being shortchanged by $2 billion.
Yeah, he's going to take that 2.9 off the budget because of the fact
that... He issued the Prop 98 where
what he really wants to do, I think he wants the teachers to be responsible for getting these kids through school and graduated and on to the next level. And the problem is that, you know, like we said, I mean, you know, it's not going to take more money to get these people to graduate. It's going to take different effort.
The one step that he's proposing, I think, is great. Right now, the teachers have full tenure after 2 years, and then it's almost impossible to get rid of them.
No,
he's making that a 5-year mandatory program.
Yeah, I always, like I told you earlier, I said tenure is tenure. It shouldn't be like you have to.
True.
You should be, you know, up for it and live for like 10 years. Okay, next one.
And then you're making the politicians more accountable to the people.
What does that mean?
This is the redistricting.
Oh, the redistricting deal.
And Arnold wants to do it now instead of waiting for the census
I don't know about
2010.
The redistricting deal. Yeah, it's kind of
iffy. Us more on that one.
Yeah. Well, we miss seeing him.
We didn't get to hear his answers, if anyone in fact question any of these
I don't think anybody's going to ask him any of these tough questions that we needed to know.
But he did make an appearance here.
He showed up. It was a well thought out deal, and they had the opposition here, and they had thoughtful people here.
We think it was him, unless it was a stand-in.
Yeah. And the good news is that Gray Davis would not have done this. Gray Davis wouldn't even touch
this. This was a bold move on his part.
Right.
Taking to the people again.
We're still waiting for his bold moves on the energy money, because our, you know, believe it or not, our electrical bill goes up every month. I don't know about yours. Way up. True. I mean, like way up. And you're going, why is this happening? And it's not because we're using any more energy. It's because, you know. So those are other issues.
The other issue is where the federal government, and we surely rely on the federal government for backfilling of some of our programs,
right,
where they're cutting some of the funding, at least that's the proposal from the president, for us incarcerating these prisoners, which are illegals, that are in this country illegally, yet they don't have funding to put border guards. And that's a White House issue, not a state issue.
I'm glad to see the House passed that thing on driver's licenses. It says that, you know, but I don't think that the Senate's probably going to be able to pass it to back it up. But you know, at least Arnold did that too. I mean, he's been doing all right on stuff. But you know, there's some details, devil in the details of these 4 new issues that he's got up here, and they look contentious. I think he's got probably the right thought on 2 or 3 of them. So, you know, we'll see how it goes. And look forward to the November election and see if they all 4 of these qualify with his clout behind him. Okay, this has been The Cutting Edge. We're broadcasting from the Red Robin Restaurant here in Costa Mesa, beautiful downtown Costa Mesa, California today. Okay, Anna, what the last words from you? Anything?
I would have rather liked to see him in person.
Yeah, thanks.